Hello, this is D, and I'm back with another video. And today we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about the Xbox tax. Now, I didn't really want to talk about this topic because lately I've kind of been in and out with a lot of Xbox super hardcore fanboys. They're not really keen to some of the things that I've been saying. And I've been saying that Microsoft, in general, they just need to get things on that next level. I want the Xbox brand to do well. And I just feel that they need to produce better content. Now, with that being said, a lot of people think because I'm saying this stuff that I'm against Xbox when it's actually the opposite. I want Xbox to do well. So that's why I didn't want to touch this whole Xbox tax thing. But today I feel because we are an Xbox eccentric channel that we do have to discuss this. Also, I want to talk about Sony and their future and why the media is quietly not discussing some of the things that are going on in Sony. Now, a lot of people have left different divisions. We're seeing lots of news, even Sony being sued. So why is the media not talking about that? So today we're also going to touch on that topic. Now, let's start off with the Xbox tax. Is it real? Now, I got to be honest with you guys. I thought it was kind of ridiculous when this started to come out. I saw it on social media and it started to become prevalent throughout last week. And a lot of gamers were saying the Xbox tax and that Xbox is not getting a fair shake. Now, my honest opinion, I say this all the time and I get a lot of slack for it, but I feel that Microsoft, they just need to take things to the next level. I don't think they make bad games. I just think that they lack consistency. Whereas stuff on the Sony platform, whether you hate or love them, their games are consistent. When their games come out, they're bangers. Very rarely do they have games that are just absolute stinkers. Now, of course, there's Forspoken. That was an absolute stinker. And every company has a stinker. Just like Forspoken, there was Redfall on the Xbox platform. Nonetheless, Sony is more consistent with their first-party releases. And I just want Microsoft to achieve the same success and the same quality that these Sony franchise games have. And for some reason, gamers, they always get upset at me when I say this. And they think that I'm against Xbox. I want Xbox to do great. They're doing good now. They're obviously not doing as good as Sony. We can see this from the sales. We can see this from a lot of metrics. It's just a matter of facts that Sony is outpacing Microsoft this generation. Now, Microsoft this year had a pretty good year. They released a lot of good games. They need to release more games and they need to do it consistently. Now, I do believe that Microsoft is on the right track. And I believe next year is not going to be the same as this year. I think we're going to have a lot more titles next year. We're also going to have a lot more titles the year after that. And I feel at that point, they're really going to get in the stride of cranking out games. And this is going to be a different conversation. But in the here and now, Microsoft just needs to do better. Now, people are saying the Xbox tax, they got shunned at the Video Game Awards. And I thought Starfield was a good game, but I don't think it's Game of the Year. Now, I do believe that it should have been nominated. There are a couple of games in there from Nintendo. We have Mario Wonderworld. I think it's a great game. I just finished it with my son. As well as Tears of the Kingdom. I also finished that game. I don't think that, as good as Mario was, I don't think it's Game of the Year. I just got to be honest with you guys. Now, there could be an argument for Tears of the Kingdom, but for the new Mario game, I just can't justify it being nominated for Game of the Year, much less winning. Now, I think that Starfield should have been in that slot. I really do believe so. But I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't think Starfield is Game of the Year either. So that leads us right back to the same point that Microsoft needs to just release better games. Their games are on a good level, but we just need to get it that one notch, that one tier higher, where it's just undeniable. And I feel that they're on the right track, but I just gotta be honest with you guys, they're not there yet. Now, we also saw some pretty poor COD reviews, and I thought the reviews for COD were unfair. I thought the single player campaign was pretty good, but I gotta be honest with you guys, when I kind of made my initial comments, I wasn't that deep into the game, and as I get further into the game, there's some levels where it does feel like you're playing against bots. So I can understand them giving a lower score on the single player. Now, I don't think it was a 4, by no means. Say they gave it a score of a 6. I think it's probably about a 7, but say they gave it a score of a 6. That would be understandable. 4, I think, is a little bit too low. I don't think it was bad. Like, there's some games out there that are rated higher than that were broken. There's some games that are rated at the same rating that they gave the single player campaign that are broken. So it just makes no sense to score it at a 4. And it is what it is. Everybody is going to have their own bias. I think it had something to do with the score of this game. As well, we heard rumors that they were going to cancel this year, so that could be part of it. Maybe some of the reviewers were looking at this and saying, oh, now it makes sense why we have these levels that looks like we're fighting bots. It's because they were going to cancel the game and they rushed it out, so I'm going to dock it a couple of points. I'm sure some of that was going on. Now, the multiplayer on this game is the best I've ever seen in years, and most people playing the multiplayer will also say this. So for it to be scoring so low on the Metacritic, I think is a shame for this game. I think it's much better than that. Now, does it have to do with the Xbox tax? I don't really know, because Call of Duty, it was kind of a hate or love relationship. For so many years, we were getting the same kind of Call of Duty. We were getting some of the cutscenes that were actually patched in, or I should say copied and pasted from previous games. So Call of Duty is no stranger to controversy. So I don't want to say this is the Xbox tax. I think it's a little bit coincidental that now Xbox owns Activision, that they got such a low score. But I gotta be honest here, I think it would have got a low score anyways, just because of the structure of the game. The single player, it is the weakest that we've seen in a few years. I just don't think it was a 4. Now, let's talk more about the Xbox tax. Is there some bias through the media? Definitely. There are some outlets or some people in outlets that might prefer PlayStation over Xbox. And I think this is across the media. There's going to be some platforms that are more towards Xbox, some that'll be more towards PlayStation. There's going to be some that'll be just neutral. But there's going to be some bias. But I don't think it's overwhelmingly towards the Xbox brand. I think they're a little bit more scrutinized because they're such a multi-million-dollar company, sure. But I don't think that if they release a good game, they're just going to get a bad review because they're an Xbox game. And I have proof of that. Gears of War 4 on IGN, it got a 9.2. When we look at Gears of War, the original one, it got a 9.4. Amazing. Gears of War 2, 9.5. Gears of War 3, a 9. When Microsoft releases good games, they get good reviews. Look at Forza Horizon 5. That game is probably one of my most, if not my top racing game of all time. Forza Horizon 5 is so much fun. It was such a good game that it was undeniable. It got 91 Metascore. And everybody that's played that game will tell you that that game is beautiful. It's fantastic. It might even be arguable that it's better than the latest Forza Motorsport from Turn 10. Now, when we look at some other games, 2021, Microsoft was named Metacritic's best publisher in 2021. Flight Simulator, 91. Psychonauts, 89. Deathloop, 88. And I think at that time, Deathloop wasn't even on the Xbox platform. I believe PlayStation had an exclusive agreement with it being on their PlayStation 5. Age of Empires, 81. Forza Horizon, 92. I think it dropped down to a 91 afterwards, right? Halo Infinite, an 87. Now, Halo Infinite, it was kind of, I gotta say, the multiplayer wasn't good at launch. The single player campaign was good, but the multiplayer was broken. And I don't want to say broken, but the multiplayer just wasn't good. And it was missing a lot of features, a lot of things that were promised to us. I don't want to go through the list of it because it's kind of an old sore. Now, I know that Halo Infinite has improved and the multiplayer is a lot better now, but at launch, it wasn't so good. So the 87 was completely an understandable score. So I just can't buy in to the Xbox tax. I really can't. When Microsoft releases good quality titles, they get good reviews. They just need to be consistent. Starfield was a great game. It was a good game. It wasn't a 9. It wasn't a 10. It's a solid 8, maybe a solid 7.5. It's there, but it's just needs another tier to it. A lot of people had a lot of issues with the game, such as the structure. They were saying that it played like some of the old Bethesda games. Now, I didn't really get that experience because I haven't really played Bethesda games. So this was my first Bethesda game that I really got into. So some of those issues were not there for me. But people that play the franchises, they said that it felt really familiar. And it was a slow build-up. There are a lot of slow parts in that game. So I can understand some people not liking the game as much as others. Personally, I think it's a good game. Like I said earlier, I don't think it's the game of the year. Now, Microsoft is in a great position. I don't want you guys to think it's all doom and gloom. Microsoft is in a good place. This year, they released Hi-Fi Rush. They also released Starfield. They also released Forza. So they had a good release schedule. Just none of them really hit it out the park. I would say probably Starfield was the best performer this year. Hi-Fi Rush was a surprise announcement, and it was a really good game. So it was a surprise game. There wasn't really any high expectations of it, but it's also nominated for a lot of awards at the Video Game Awards. Now, Forza, it's kind of under delivering, I would say, at this point in time. Some people are just not happy with the game overall. Now, they have updated the game. They've updated it so that you no longer have the raised blacks in the game. So the game looks a lot better. Some of the bugs that were there at launch, there wasn't many bugs. It was just mostly a streaming issue with some of the assets, like the trees. That was an issue for me personally. And they have patched that. Now, I know on PC, we would like them to take the settings a lot further. They can do a lot more with ray tracing, especially with the hardware that we have on PC. And I know a lot of PC guys were disappointed that they didn't stretch out the performance. So Forza is a game in progress. This is going to be a game that's going to be around for a long time, that they're going to update it over time. And I know this game is going to get better as time progresses. So I'm not too worried about Forza, and as well, Turn 10, they're great developers. And like I said, they've patched a lot of things, a lot of issues, little small issues that the game had at launch. And the game is really fun. It looks fantastic, but just being honest here, the game is underperforming. It's not selling as much as we had hoped it would sell. Not that it's a disaster, not that it's not selling, it's just not selling as much as most anticipated it to sell. So in closing, I don't really think there's an Xbox tax. Xbox just needs to do better. They need to be more consistent. And when people say this, you shouldn't attack them. I see this happening all the time. Someone saying they want Xbox to do better, they just attack them. Why don't you look at their posts, look at their history, see if they are a troll. If they're a troll, then that's a different situation. But if someone's been supporting Microsoft or the Xbox brand for a long time, and they come out and say something critical about Xbox, it's not because they hate Xbox or because they want clicks. It's because they want the brand to do better. And how can the brand do better if you're not asking and requiring them to do better? If you just accept things the way they are, the status quo, things will never change. And I truly believe that the people that are critical, most of them on the Xbox brand, is because they want it to do better. Now, I'm hoping that 2024 will be a much better year for Xbox. And to be honest with you guys, I believe it will be. And once Microsoft starts utilizing all of these studios and these games start cranking out, I'm telling you, it's going to be a different situation, which leads me to Sony. Now, Sony has some issues. These are real issues, and I'm not understanding why the media is not tackling this. So many important people have left Sony. You had, I believe her name is Bonnie Clyde. She left Sony. She was huge in the PlayStation 5 success and bringing a lot of games to the system. We have heads of Naughty Dog leaving, people that are writing the narratives to these games leaving Sony. We have Sony being sued by gamers. I believe this is happening over in the UK because of the PlayStation Store prices. We also found out that Epic cannot charge less than what Sony does on their PlayStation Network. That is a problem. Sony is releasing remasters and remakes. And I'll be honest with you guys, I am excited for The Last of Us Part 2, the remastered, because I never really played the first one. I got maybe, I would say, halfway through the game, and I said I'm going to wait for this to come out on PC or the PlayStation 5. And here we have it coming out on the PlayStation 5, so I am excited for it. But it's not offering a lot over the original version, at least on the PlayStation 5. Now, when it comes to PC, of course, it's going to be a huge upgrade because you have a lot more hardware on PC and most of it is more powerful, such as 8 RTX 4090. But that's neither here nor there. Now, when you look at some of these comparisons on the screen, it's not really a big deal. Now, I do see some differences, like the textures are better. I can see that the resolution is better. I can see that the details are better. I can see that the coloring is better. But it's not a night and day difference unless you're really staring at it. And to charge gamers extra for this, I can understand some being annoyed. Now, personally, once again, like I said, I only played through half of Last of Us Part 2. So for me, the $10 upgrade, it's not so bad. But seeing how some of the differences in the game are minor, maybe there should be a free upgrade for users that already own this game. I believe that's the right thing to do, but we know that Sony, they like to make money. And unfortunately, this is the way it is. Now, I just can't help but ask this question. Why are we getting The Last of Us 2 remastered instead of a new game? What is going on at Sony that they're not releasing new games? Why is the media not talking about this? Why are they just fawning over The Last of Us Part 2 remastered and not asking the proper questions like, why are we not getting new games? Where is factions? I just don't understand this. It's like the Xbox supposedly has an Xbox tax, which I just debunked. I don't believe is a true thing, okay? If anyone's trying to clip it. But the PlayStation 5, it looks like, or I should say the PlayStation, it looks like it has a surplus because nobody seems to say anything bad about PlayStation. There are some companies, or I should say some outlets that do cover it, but they're the smaller outlets. The big outlets, they don't cover these stories. Like I saw something on my Twitter, a Japanese investor, they're saying that Sony is going to go bankrupt. They're on the verge of going bankrupt. Now, I don't believe everything in this article, but I believe that the media should at least cover it and find out certain things about it. Now, in the article, it says that the president change or Jim Ryan being fired was because the company was in crisis. Now, I'll be honest with you guys, I don't 100% believe that. I think that Jim Ryan was let go. I don't think he was retired. And I think he was let go because he failed in his pursuit to block Microsoft from purchasing Activision. And I believe he was let go as a result of that because it really made Sony look bad. They were not put in the best light in that whole process and they were exposed. And at the end, they had to sign a deal that they could have signed earlier and got more. They had to sign a deal that gave them less. They were only guaranteed to get Call of Duty on the PlayStation when they were guaranteed some other games before that. So it's an unfortunate turn of events for Jim Ryan and for Sony, but I do believe that he was let go. And I do believe that they are changing a lot of things over there. There's a lot of people leaving there. And these are people that are running the gaming divisions, that are running big studios. And this is going to have an effect on PlayStation. And right now they're releasing remasters. When are they going to start to release more first-party games that are original IPs that aren't remasters or that are sequels? Like, I'm tired of getting the remasters. Although this one, like I said, I will play it. In general, Sony has released a lot of remasters this generation. And it's time for some new games. And this is telling me that there's something going on internally with the company for them to be doing this. And like I said earlier, Microsoft, they've acquired all of these studios. And once everything is up and running perfectly and they're releasing these games on a schedule, Sony's going to have a problem. It's not going to be the same situation a year, 2 years from now. So for all of those thinking that Microsoft is in the gutter right now and that they have no shot, no, they can rebuild themselves and they can prepare themselves for the next generation and they can start to dig themselves out of this hole. Now, do I think they're going to overcome the PlayStation this generation? Probably not. But I think they can do a lot better. And that's by Xbox fans demanding that they give us better games. And also the media, yes, there's going to be bias outlets. But if you release a game that is so good, it's just going to be undeniable. It's going to be universally acclaimed. Of course, you're always going to get trolls. But like I said, if you release a good game, it's going to get a good review. And gamers are just going to like it because at the end of the day, we're all gamers and we enjoy playing games. Now, as well, I gotta address the media ignoring all the stuff that's going on with Sony. The company does seem to have some type of internal crisis going on. A lot of big top level people have left and they don't have replacements for them. And this is gonna have an effect on their roadmap. So let's not ignore these things. Let's address everything equally. If Microsoft is doing something wrong, if Xbox is doing something wrong, it should be investigated and it should be reported on. And the same thing with Sony. You know what people like to say? They say, keep that same energy, and the media needs to keep the same energy. Now, gamers out there, once again, I don't believe there's an Xbox tax. Xbox just needs to do better. Anyways, I want to know what you guys think about today's stories. What do you think about the Xbox tax? Let me know in the comment section down below if you think I'm capping and the Xbox tax is real, or if I'm some type of pony bot. Just tell me in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think about Sony. Is there an internal crisis going on? Why are all of these people leaving? And what effect will it have on Sony's gaming department? Let me know in the comment section down below. And like I usually say, please like, share, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one.